Hello and good evening. It is Friday again, Friday the 2nd of May, and it's time for Trisha time with me, yours truly, Trisha of So Totally Trisha. So I hope you are all well and welcome to the last live of the week. Let's see, I'm just going to get this up on here so that I can see, once we've started demonstrating, exactly what or who is watching and what you are seeing. Good evening, Heather. Oh, okay. Let's see, we're moving a little bit there. Fantastic. So yes, hello Heather, hello Amanda, hello Jill and John. Oh, that tooth, has it gone? Was it today? Hello Sarah, hello Alison, good evening to you. Hello Jane. I've seen all these names as I've been wading my way through email after email regarding last night's end of bulk sale, which thank you very, very much. Help me to, hello Bev, help me to, say get rid of, move some fabric ready for the next lot to come in. Hello Marion, hello Carol, hello Carol. Don't know if you got my email, Carol. Carol Mills, that is. Hello Linda, hello Helen, hello Kerry. Oh, you've returned. So hopefully you enjoyed last night. Was a little bit different, wasn't it? Hello Jeeta, hello Jan, hello Christine. But that's the way we run. I didn't make much fun of Martin last night, which I quite often do, but he was on good form. Hello Christine, hello Dorothy, hello Liz. So yes, I was going to say thank you for all of you who've emailed in and sent your payments through as well. Hello Vanessa, which means I will get cracking tomorrow even. So although Monday's a bank holiday and I won't be posting out on Monday because nothing will move. Hello Virginia. They will be on their way on Tuesday, most definitely. I haven't got too much cutting to do because most of it was cut. So I hope it's not going to be too hot because boy, oh boy, in here, it just gets too hot. Hello Beverly, hello Karen. Oh, that's lovely, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so many had sent their emails almost straight away. In one way, it doesn't make you forget. Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Carol, don't worry. Oh, and it all went well. Oh, that's good. Jolly good. Saving the giggle. Yes, absolutely. Oh, it'd be lovely to see you all there. Hello, Pat. Hello, Sharon. So yes, I will just mention, thank you for that, Jane. We are now in May and 2 weeks tomorrow, it will be the open house. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Carol. Hello, Jen. Oh, that's fine, Jen. No problem at all. Hello, Susan. I know yours came through. I remember that distinctly. I have replied to those who sent their payments through as well. Yes, so Saturday the 17th of May will be open house. And what we had on the end of bulk sale last night was nothing compared to the amount of fabric I have. It made the tiniest little dent. Yes. Hello, Paula. And we'll have some really good. I know, Heather, I know. That's what I wish. I'd love to visit other countries, definitely. But I just want to press a button and I'm there. I don't want all that faffing about at airports and waiting and sitting down and getting on something, getting off something. Really, you just want to be there, don't you? So yes, I am going to have lots and lots of bargains. I doubt if I will have any brand new fabrics in because I think they are arriving next week with the warehouse and they take a couple of weeks to get them out. So we will have some after that. Hello, Tony. And I also thank you for what I did mention last night with the sale was that when I've got sort of one-offs where there's, you know, just one, however many meters or however small or large, and there's a one-off, if possibly that you only actually comment that you want it if you do, because everything that there was always other people that wanted it. And basically it just makes extra work, because I've either still got that bit left and it just goes in another pile, or, well, it could have been sold and out of the way, basically. So thank you for sticking with what you ordered. That is really good of you. Thank you. I know everybody has the right to cancel. They do, but, you know, it just makes life just a little bit more looking into, and it hangs around, and, you know, it's just one of those things. But thank you, everybody, anyway. Hello, Marilyn. Oh, never mind. One day, absolutely. Hello, Christine. Hello, Sue. Thank you, Sue. Yours came through as well. So there's still a few bits left. If anybody, hello Judith. It is a bit cooler. I am loving this weather. It is all this. There are a few clouds now, but it was bright blue sky. There's a gentle breeze, and it's still warm, but I can just feel a coolness. Really, really pleasant. Yes, where was I going there? I was going somewhere else, wasn't I? Anyhow, today, yes, has been a good day. I've got everything responded to that I needed to. And obviously been down to school to pick the boys up, and they are a treasure. When Mummy came home, I was sitting with Charlie, and I said to him, "Guess who's here now?" And Oliver said, "It's Mummy." And I looked at Charlie and I said, "Do I look like Mummy?" And he looked at me, he said, "Well, a little bit, because you're beautiful." And he melts my heart. He's 6 years old, and how these things come to mind, I really don't know. We were playing Uno the other night, and he said, "Oh, can we play it exponentially, please?" I said, "Pardon me?" I didn't know what he meant, but he went on to explain about putting two cards down the same and whatever. He knows what he's on about, but bless him. He is such a little darling. But yes, what a lovely thing to say. And he meant it, and then he smiled and gave me a hug. I just love how little boys are very loving, and I found that with my boys as well. Obviously, little girls are absolutely fine, and they can be loving, or perhaps it's more when they get older, because I know things weren't quite the same with my darling Victoria, but she's a good girl, very good girl. So yes, we've done that bit, and now we have 3 days off. And as I said to them this morning, and when we come to the end of the month, and I said, right, it's the last day of April today. You had to put a jacket on today, Virginia. Oh my goodness. Evening, Patricia. Oh, it hasn't been that cold today, but oh yes, you're further north, aren't you, Virginia? Yes, I know. Yes, they are just such good boys. So, what else has gone on today? Nothing too much really. Had a little word with Mum. I haven't been out anywhere. We had, I know what I will tell you. Martin had ordered some new trainers off of Amazon, but the tracking said it was coming via Every. And it was yesterday. You're lucky to see Charlie's six-pack, Vanessa. I know, he is a darling. Yeah, absolutely right, Sue. So it said it was coming between 5 and 8, something like that. And then, absolutely, Virginia, Martin said to me, "Can you see how close it is to me?" And I went on to Amazon, and it said Every had tried to deliver, but access was denied. And I thought, what? And the time it said, we had been sitting in the living room and would have seen anybody come by. So, you know, I don't know what happened there. However, he arrived this morning. There were two of them, him and his wife, I think. And I went to the door and I said, oh, thank you, that's lovely. I said, did you come last night? And immediately said, no. I said, oh, it's just that it said, Every had said that you tried to gain access but couldn't. And he said, oh, no, we get that all the time. They hadn't put it on board, so they make you put that they couldn't get access to deliver it. How bad is that? And that's from the horse's mouth. So I thought I'd tell you that because we read about it, people saying these things. But yes, Every always tell fibs, don't they just? Because I said to Martin, it'll be all right because our delivery driver's really good. It's what happens elsewhere. And doesn't that just show you? And I said, that really reflects badly on you. But I know, you know, you're fine and will do what you're given. So unbelievable. Well, it was because that's what happens. Sue took her little grandson for a walk and he kept standing in the brambles and nettles so I didn't get hurt. Oh, how lovely. I said, what about you in shorts? He said, I've had worse. He's so lovely. I know. Oh, they say the funniest things. Charlie's words at the minute are, hell yeah. So too much American rubbish, I think he's watching. What else did he say? Oh, I know. I mean, when they come in from school, they're usually hungry. Now, Oliver will eat from the word go. He will go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Charlie knows when he's hungry and when he's not. So I said to Charlie, do you want anything to eat, darling? And he said, no, thank you, Grandma, but thank you for asking. I just crack up every time because I just think, I don't know where. I mean, it's a lovely thing to say. He must hear Mummy saying that, but thank you for asking. It's, as I say, they're so funny the way they come out with these bits. Hello, Sue. I know, Virginia, it's very unfair to the drivers. But, you know, as I said to him, no, thank you. And, you know, I know you'll bring it whenever you have it. So don't worry there. Hello, Caroline. Don't worry. You're designing a quilt label. Fantastic. Is that machine embroidery? Because there's some nice ones out there. I shall have to buy some quilt labels. I don't know whether some of the Brother Sewing machines have got them inbuilt. Beverly, absolutely. Do you know, ever since ever, they've been very polite with their no thank you, yes please, no thank you. And every now and again I just remind, but I think it is a case of what Mummy and Daddy say and you just keep it going. But most of the time I don't say anything and it just comes out, which is lovely. And the other thing which is lovely is that Victoria often gets told if they go to somebody else's house, how polite they've been. And she's, you know, I think Oliver stayed overnight at different places. And to be told by the other parents, gosh, he was so polite, makes you wonder what other children are like. But it just comes naturally. So it's lovely. When your every courier was on leave, our service non-existent. Yeah. Oh, goodness. And they only have so long to deliver, don't they? I mean, I think some of them might be a little bit, yes, they stretch the limit sometimes, but most of them are really good. Evening, Marilyn. And, oh, that's lovely, Caroline. An embroidered quilt label, fantastic. And I absolutely loved your Mariner's Compass one, the huge one that you did. I imagine that's the one you're talking about. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely. I think I did comment to that effect and I meant it. Jane says, the innocence of the little ones. Yes. You take special needs children to school and what they come. I know, but aren't they? You know, that is lovely. That is really lovely. Hello, Yvonne. Good evening to you. Yes, I've seen your name today as well. So thank you very much indeed. Okay, shall we get started? So tonight's topic, if you like. Or, it's not an actual project. I didn't get a chance to make it into something, but I will. Evening, Susan, is Seminole. So I've made a few. There's lots of different, not different ways. Gosh, he's back. Oh, it's 7:15. I forgot about that. There is the young man walking by. He's been out with his sister. It's good when you get on with your sister. He said, I won't be able to walk through the conservatory, so he's gone through the garden to the back door. Anyhow, Seminole. It is just an easy way, really, of making patchwork blocks, or patchwork, normally squares, but they could be rectangles, on point. So that's one in progress. So here was the first. So you can see there, we've got all those squares on point. Now, normally, if you look at that, you can see it's made up of squares, but there's triangles as well. So if you can imagine cutting lots of smallish squares and then these triangles as well to fit in between, you know, it can be done, and people do that depending on what the project is. But, oh, it was your, so yes. Oh, that's lovely, Caroline. Absolutely superb. So, and John Cole Morgan in iQuilt Studio, he does the quilting for you, doesn't he? The long arm quilting. So if anybody needs their quilts long arming, John Cole Morgan is your man. He does a very, very good job. So have a look at him. He's quite local. He's in Tring, but I'm sure people send them through the post anyway. Oh, you love that, do you? So, yeah, it's very, and look at my points, You see, it just works. So having done one in just the 2 colours, I've done another one in 2 colours there. Can you see the darker in the middle? What you want to get the best effect is to have 2 colours that really contrast very, very well, so that you can see there. And then what I'm going to show you tonight is how, okay, I will, Sharon. I haven't noticed it yet, unless you've done it the last 10 minutes or so. I've done one with 3. So how about that? Now, I don't think you would probably want to pop all those together. So that's 3 squares, and they are on point, if you like. So it's like having diamonds and triangles. But I am going to show you how to do this, and I'll just show you the simple one. Now, this one is simple. So it's made from strips of fabric. Okay, so here is your strip, and your strip is going to have 3 colours, well, 3 strips of fabric. The centre one is, it does look as though it's interwoven, doesn't it? And hello, Sue. You'll have 2 at the ends, and this is 1 in the middle. But it's just the same technique, whether you've got just the 3 strips or 5, and it is probably better for these. Oh, you made a Seminole Seminole runner with Bernie. Oh, now Bernie does long arm quilting. So if you're up north, Bernadette Corner, can't think what she calls herself, corner quilting, or can't think now. Yes, okay. So as I say, this one is just made with 3 strips. 1 strip light, centre one different, and the other one the same, just to get the absolute effect. And once you have sewn your long strips together, you then turn it this way, press it, turn it this way, and chop them into small strips. Now, I cut them into the strips the size that you cut originally for your strips that you sewn together. So I'm using 1.5 inch strips. So when I come to cut, I'm going to cut 1.5 inch strips this way. The sewing corner, that's right. Yes, so if you're further north, Durham way, you can always call on the sewing corner, Bernie. I think it is. So what you do, so there's your one strip, then you come to put the next one onto it, and it moves up a little bit like Bargello, okay? And then you put the next one like that. So you can see they're all parts of a strip, and that is straight on, but as soon as you turn it that way, you have your Seminole, and we just need to trim along the edges like I have here. So that is exactly the same, but I've just trimmed the edges to get those diamonds on point. So it looks the same whichever way you have it. So, oh yes, Carol thinks that as well. So let's have a look. Now, one of the things, we do need to be fairly accurate, and with your 1/4 inches and your and the cutting, but otherwise it will go together beautifully. Now, so that you can see everything, I do need to turn this camera around. Harrogate Quilting does. Oh, right, okay. Harrogate Quilting is another good one. If you've used them, Sue, that is great. So that we know that they do really good long arm quilting. Okay, so let's just have a look. Look at that mess, as per usual. Okay, so let's just have a look here. Pop that on. Oops, no, not quite. There we are. Right, can we see what we are looking at? Yes, we have. Yes, we have. I'm just going to push the machine back for a moment and just see that you can see the table. So, no, perhaps you can. No, that's already down. Okay, let's just bring that down a little bit further so that we can see. Okay. So what we are going to use, as I said, I'm going to do this one with 3 strips. Let's just have a look. So I've got 3 strips of fabric, and I'm going to have the darker ones on the outsides, and then I have just got a plain cream to go at the edges. But you can have, there we go. So these ones are ivory to go with. I would always work with, to get that sort of design, an odd number. Oh, that's lovely, Sue, Anthea. An odd number of strips, so that your centre one is one colour, and then you could do this with 5 strips that are designed as well. So these 2 are the same, and then if you had another darker one, if you like, that could go here. 2 to rose, extra and crafted long arm as well. And I don't know who that is. Okay. So, oh, Tudor Rose, they're near me. Tudor Rose are near Bedford, if that's who you mean. Okay, so I've got 5 strips there. And all we're going to do to begin with, we are going to do a little bit of pressing and a little bit of trimming, but I'm just going to sew them all together. And what I'm saying, these strips in the middle are 1.5 inches wide, but the outer strips, this makes life easier. You could cut them all 1.5 inches wide, but when you come to, let me show you this one here. When we come to trim off here, we need to have 1/4 inch, and it is quite, it's not as easy to get your 1/4 inch seam allowance here, unless, and even here, unless you've got a little bit wider fabric. So I have cut these outer ones at 2 inches, and believe you me, that works miracles. So let's just see if we come in just a little bit closer to, and I'll draw the, let's put these on here, bring the machine back in. so that you can see. That's probably gone completely, nope. I think we're there, okay. So I'm going to, I've got my strips, so I'm going to take one of the outer ones, I'm lining them up as they, I've laid them out, and I'm going to line the raw edges up very, very carefully. Oops, let's put my lift in. Let's find the hole. Oh, there it is. There, yes. Pop that in. And we're going to do a 14-inch seam allowance with a 1.8 stitch length. So let's just grease these together, because it is all about the pressing as well. Okay, so that's our first one. Now I'm just going to gently nail press this open, because we do press them in a special way. So I'm taking my next, which is my middle strip, onto my darker fabric. So this time I've got a lighter one in the middle as opposed to a dark, light, dark. So let's just hold these together. But of course, if you like to pin your fabrics to keep them perfectly aligned, by all means do that. For me, I use my fingers most of the time just to hold those fabrics. Let's flip that open there. Just see. I'm just moving that around there. That might be a bit better. Then I'm going to take my next one, which is the same as the second one, and lay that right sides together like that. And we will whiz down here as well. I'm just making sure this is lined up all the time, and also that the edge of the fabric is lined up with the edge of the foot. So there is number 4. Gently press that down. And then the 5th one, which is my cream. So just align that like so, straight under the foot. And stitch. Don't sew as fast as I do, unless you like to. It's not a race, but it's always a race against time for me. Okay. Right, so we have our strips stitched together now. So all I'm going to do now is, there is a special way of pressing them, so that when we stitch them, after we cut them, when we stitch them back together, it will work perfectly if we press in this particular way. So let me just get my little mat. I should have got a bigger mat out, to be honest. But there we go. So what we're going to do, I have my little iron here. Hopefully he will warm up quickly. Oh, I won't do what I did with this. This curled under. Let's pop it down that way. There we go. Oh, we should be ready now. That's hot. So we're going to, you can see here that all my seams. So what I'm going to have these seams going out from each other. So I'm going to go up the middle of this one. So that seam goes that way and that goes that way. And then move one over, and that one is going to go that way and that one that way. So I find it easiest to just pull that out, and then I'm just going to push my iron down the middle, and I'm just pulling that a little bit so that, there we are, that works here. So I'm pushing this one to the left, and pretty stupid, I'm not getting a bigger mat. Okay, so that one is going, I'm going to flip it round now because I have this one there, and this one is coming this way. So if I'd taken a big iron, I could have gone straight down the middle and just pressed so that they both went in opposite directions, or both going outwards. Okay, so you can see there how that one's going that way and that's going that way. So then you ignore this one here, and we're looking at this one, and we're going to press that one to the left and that one to the right. So again, actually I might lay it that way, and I'm going to, well, let's lay it this way. I find it easier going to my left. So let's just press this one down here. So I'm just pulling that open as I press, and I will, once we've done this side, go to the other side as well. And I'm just going straight down the middle, okay? And then here, I'm just going to make sure, let's move it that way so I can put it, I'm just going to pull that out, pull that from here, so that I'm not actually ironing a pleat in there. Okay, so that looks good at the moment. So let's turn it to the right side, and then I'm going to move across it. Whoops, I'm flicking this about a bit. So I'm just pulling that open, okay, just to make sure there's no pleats here, because you can quite easily not open that centre one fully. So just pull your fabric and just push it to one way, and what you want to be looking at is a nice straight line down there. So I'm going to turn that off for the moment. So we should have a nice straight line all the way down there, which we have. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to cut. So I'm just going to get my pink mat, pop that on there. That's all nice and flat. And we are going to cut into 1.5 inch strips. So I've got my ruler here, and let's just see, I should perhaps move it a little bit that way. And I'm standing up to do this. So my very first strip, rather than keep moving it around, I am cutting, I've laid my ruler on here, but a little bit too far. But what I'm going to do is cut first of all, so it's slightly over the 1.5, and I'm looking at the horizontal lines going with my seam lines, and that way you know that you've got that perfectly straight. So having done that, whoops, let's just hold that down, and I am going to cut. Okay, so having cut that one, I'm going to turn that one round because it isn't exactly 1.5. Then I'm lining my 1.5 line there, and I'm going to trim away the excess. Okay, so I've got a 1.5 inch strip, and then all I'm going to do is work my way across here. So I'm lining the 1.5 up, I'm looking at my horizontals, there we are, so that they are in line with my seams. There we go, number 2, 1.5, perfect. Now what I will say, the wider you have, so I've got the 5 strips here as opposed to 3, you will actually cut more away when we trim it to a straight edge rather than the edge. But it gives a zigzaggy edge when everything is just stitched together. But when we trim it straight, there's a little bit of waste at the end, but I do believe it's worth it. Now, from that size, I don't think I've quite got, no, I'm just short of another 1/4 inch, so I'll throw that to the side. Okay. So now I have my pieces, and I'm going to bring back in, let's put those there, bring the machine back in, and we're going to stitch them together. Okay, so we can see that there. And let's take our mat away. And I'm going to take the first one of the strips and we are going to stitch it together, dropping one. So you will not have these edges lining up. We're going to stitch it together like that. We're going to stitch it so that one drops down each time. So when we place them right sides together, what we will have is one seam going one way and one the other, and then this will nest. So what I would suggest, if you've never done this before, is to pop a pin in there. Let's just put a pin. Okay, so definitely with your first one. If you want to pin the whole way down, but those are nesting beautifully, which is exactly what we want. So with this, we've got a nesting there, and not here. So all I need to do is pop this under the machine, and I like to nest the rest as I go. So let me just pop my knee lift back in. So straight under the machine, and you only need to start stitching from where there are 2 layers of fabric. So not at the very outside, just where the 2 layers come, and then come towards that nesting. And then what I look at the next nesting there and lay that down and put my finger on it, and that holds it in place. And then the same with the next one. It saves all the faff of taking pins out that you've painstakingly put in there. Okay, so there's our first seam, and there you can see the first 2 put together. So then we're going to take another one, and this time we're going to line it up one below there. So this one's going to come here. So you can see that top edge just zigzagging. So this one, when we go right sides together, never will you have these 2 edges that you're stitching down the side of. They will never match. You don't want them to. So we'll just line up that first nesting there, line that side piece just there, and again, pop it under the needle, keep those edges aligned. I have my finger on the nesting, and then I just lift up, and I can see that one's nesting too. It's good when you've got nails, false albeit. Let's put my nail down there, and then also make sure this last piece here aligns at that side edge, and only stitch to where the double fabric goes. So there we are. Can you see how it's coming along? So the next one, we are going to put right sides together, lining up down here. So we will just hold that to nest, make sure the rest of that aligns, like so. And I'm not pressing yet because we will press it all in a certain direction in a moment. Okay, so I'm just holding that down, and I can see that one too. And then straight to the other end. Okay, let's just make sure that was, yeah, that will do. And then the next one, right sides together, so the darker fabric is lining up with that one. Edges aren't aligning there. Pull that together, nesting, lined up to here and under the machine. And you can see my finger is on there the whole time until I've stitched into it. And then we'll go down to the next one there. I've got my finger on holding that in place. And then similarly with that last one. And then all the way until our double fabric stops. Okay, so there is another one. And then we've got one more. So that one is going to be lined up down there. So you never have the same colour next to each other when you are aligning them. So there's the nesting. There is my lining up of the edges, straight down there, lift it. So if you have pins in here, you won't be doing what I'm doing here, but I find it, I just like the way that I match as I go. Okay, and that one, is that all of them? I thought I had one more. Oh, I did have one more. There we go. So there is our last one, and that one is going to come just there. So twist it right sides together and nest that first set of seams just like that under the machine. So once I've stitched over that first lot of nesting, I line up the next one, and if you try that feeling it, you really can feel when it nests together. There you go. If you find it a problem feeling the nesting, then by all means don't, or rather do put pins in, because that will help. Okay, so now is time. Now is the time for pressing. So there is our piece. So again, I'm just going to take this out of the way, and we'll get the mat in. Now, you can see how that's looking now. So I'm going to turn it this way, and what I'm going to do, we don't want to, I'm pulling it because you can see the seams need to be set. But I'm just using, because I like a little bit of steam. So I'm just ironing along here, and this bit here, just let that fold over, because it is going to be trimmed away anyway. But I just hold my nail there, or my finger there, so I'm just pressing all in one direction, and then this bit which is a single layer of fabric, just let that fold over. It's about 1/4 inch, but I say it is going to be trimmed off, so if it's not even, that is fine. So just along that edge and press, and the last one here, I'm just pulling that out a little bit so that, again, I'm not pressing in a pleat. Okay. So then I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to just give that another press. Okay. Just to make that beautifully neat. So, oh, I've scorched my ironing board, my mat. Too much heat there. Okay, looks like I've got a bit of come through there. So there is my strip, and you can see I've got all those lights down the middle. Now this is where I mean you do lose a bit, because you need to chop that off. I suppose what I could do is put a triangle of cream on that end to match it up, but it's looking quite good. And oh wow, Sue, yes, it is so easy. So the next thing we need to do is to trim. I'm going to have that like that. We need to trim down here. Now, what we need to do, we need to cut off 1/4 inch away from these points. So if you, I do measure it with the ruler. So with your ruler, you can see here, there's a dashed line, and that is the 1/4 inch. So I'm going to place that down onto, let's have a look. Now what you'll find, there we are. So I'm looking at every single point, and what may happen, it may distort a little bit, so that you have to pull that in. Oh, that's not bad. So I'm just going to pull that just a little bit, because sometimes it doesn't run absolutely straight, but you're looking for that 1/4 inch line there, and it's going on the tip of these squares that are on point. So I'm just looking, and I can see that one there is a little bit out. So I'm just pulling that one in. That one's fine. That one's a little bit out. That is fine. So I'm just pushing it so that I can see the 1/4 inch line here is right on that tip. That one needs to come out just a little bit. And that one's on. That one's on. That one just needs to go back a little bit. So I'm just pulling that. Oh, I can see, yeah. Okay. And then we are going to trim off here. So, oh, there's a little bit there which has gone over. So let's just move our ruler and take that along. Okay, so I've trimmed one edge off, and you can see there's a 1/4 inch from here to here. That looks a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. That looks a bit more than a 1/4 inch. I didn't do that particularly well. Let's just have a look. I think it may have moved when... There we are, that's a 1/4 inch there. So I'm just moving that back just a little bit because I hadn't got my accurate 1/4 inch. And it doesn't matter, so that you get those points that you want. So let's just pull that out just a little. Okay, that's 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. And there. So I'm just going to trim that tiny little bit because the 1/4 inch there, really, it does affect it when you come to doing the stitching of the extra piece of fabric. So again, I'm going to pop my ruler on here, and hopefully this will line up a little bit better. And sometimes what can, oh yeah, apart from that one's nearly there. So all of the rest of these are exactly, so you just need to pull your fabric just a little bit. I'm going to move it like that. And I've got my 1/4 inch. Oh, just there, just in a bit. That's it. And cut that off. Okay. So there you can see, that's a little bit more like it. And then this is where we trim off. So those should be nice and straight. I'm going to trim off using my horizontal lines there. Trim that little bit off. And then trim this bit off at this end too. So just make sure your fabric is nice and straight for, there we go. So I have that, that's it. There is my piece, and all I need to do now is to put an edging around there. So it can be, right with the ruler, you can put a different edging. What I was going to do was to make it into a little pouch so that the front of it is the decorative part. So I've now got myself just a strip of fabric. I've cut this 2 inches wide, and I'm going to put a piece on each side just so that it actually finishes off those edges. And let's just bring that in, see what you can see there. Hopefully you can see. Let's just have a look. Oh yes, so you can see that there. What I'm going to do is put those long edges on first. So I'm going to have my fabric right sides together, and I'm going to lay that on the top there. Now on this side, you can't see where those intersections are for your 1/4 inch, but if you cut your 1/4 inch of seam allowance really well, then it's going to work anyway, because your 1/4 inch will give you those lovely points. On the others, when we come to do the other side, let's pop that on there. I'm not going to cut it at the moment, but I'm just going to stick 1/4 inch from the edge, and then hopefully we will have some nice points. So let's just pull that in so that my edges line up. Now remembering that these bits are on the bias because we've cut squares in half. Okay, so let's just have a look here. Oh yes, that's just how I would want it to be. So we've got lovely points here because we cut that 1/4 inch. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stitch from the other end here. So I'm going to pop this over and I'm going to line that edge up. Now this time we can see where, because of the pressing, we can see where those intersections are. So I'm going to make sure that I stitch either absolutely on those intersections or just a needle's width to the right. Okay, so let's pop this on here, align those edges and stitching our 1/4 inch. There we are, and keeping those aligned as well. Okay, so I can see where I've scorched my fabric there. So let's just trim off that bit from the other side. And let's just trim up. All we need to do is just line up this edge here. I could have trimmed that first of all, but I'm just trimming that off straight. And then the same with this one. Just align it with the edge of your patchwork there and trim across there. And then I'll give that just a little press both ways. So yeah, so I've missed that just a little bit there. Can you see that's a little bit higher? So what I could do actually, and if you can see, it's because I haven't lined that edge up perfectly. So let me just see, there is my seam ripper. Let's do a little bit of seam ripping, because the whole point about Seminole is that you get those lovely points. So you can see with my seam ripper, I am going down here. It's practically the whole of the way. I've got my little red ball inside, so that is going along my seam. And it's always a little bit harder where the intersections are because there's more fabric. So you could hold it up like this and just roll that along. Now I think round about there is where it started going off. So I've unpicked all of that, and this time I'm going to make sure that lines up at the edge so that we get those perfect points that I was wanting. Okay, so let's have a look again. So we're stitching down there, 1/4 inch, and making sure, right, I wouldn't say I'm always a perfectionist, but that defeated the object. That is much better. I've got those points that I was looking for there. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to press that back. I'm just going to press it like so. I'm not going to bring the iron in again, but I'm just going to take that away, give that a press. There we are. Okay, so that looks a lot better now. And then I'm going to take just a little bit more of the fabric here, line that up on there, and I'm just going to stitch. So this is just basically squaring it off, rather into a rectangle, so that we have, and I'm just cutting in line with that strip there, and then I'm going to do exactly the same here. Oh, that fits just nicely. Pop that down on there and stitch along here without stretching that edge all the way down. And again, lining that edge and giving that a trim. So I'm just going to press those, I'm just going to open them out and press to the side. And similarly here. Okay. So there we have our Seminole in different colours there. As simple as that. Now there are others that you could do. You could do many more strips. You could do different width strips. But what I would tend to do is however many strips you have them all the same at the outside and going inwards. So if you had red at one side, have red at the other, then coming in yellow at both sides, then greens, and have one central one which is different, whether it be light or dark. Okay, so it is almost time. Martin's doing the dinner this evening, so let's just take that off, down to ping. So there it is, along with those others. And what I'm going to do is bring this around, and I'm back again. Right, let's see. Oh, what is happening with my hair? Whoops. No, let's do it this way then. Oh, have a look at the ceiling. There we go. Oh, and I thought I bought those special cameras so that it made this easy, but oh, go across. That's it. That wasn't sitting in the middle. What on earth is going on here? Yeah, so there we are, whichever way you want it. I always think it looks nice going across. We had our other 3-colour one like so, or where is my, oh, there it is, or the single colour one, which is really, I mean, that is so effective. So if you could imagine, make a great, yes, it would make a wonderful border for a quilt. Absolutely. Now, the normal way of making this as a border for the quilt would be to have your square and put a triangle at one side and a triangle at the other. So can you see that shape there? So you have all these triangles and then you just stitch them together. And okay, you get that straight edge immediately, but there's a lot of stitching, triangles to squares, rather than this way that's just done with strips. So, you see, it looks good whichever way round you do it. There is, as I say, the 1 and then the 3. Jolly good, Jan. And there's the 3 as well. But just showing how, I mean, I like to put a darker fabric in the centre. This one, I put a lighter fabric in the centre. But that's all we have to do. So, I'm going to love you and leave you now. As I say, Martin's getting my dinner tonight. And I am, oh, he's sitting there waiting for me. So all I will say is have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely bank holiday weekend. I might put a little offer. Right. I might put a little offer on the website over the weekend. So keep your eyes peeled. I should be uploading some more YouTube videos and anything else that I should be cutting and packing. Anyhow, have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the Sew with Trisha group. Anybody that hasn't checked their bank account to make sure the subscriptions come out, or let me know if you don't have the time to be in the group anymore. Absolutely fine, I understand. But next Tuesday for Sew with Trisha members, it's the brand new bag. So I should be working on that as well. So have a lovely, lovely weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye for now.